Hey, this is Dr. Cherry Fossum, and I am very excited to be here with Dr. Kylie Byrd. Kylie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So why don't we start off? Why don't you tell us about your practice, where you practice, and how long you've been practicing, and just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me this morning. My husband and I own an integrative practice here on the central coast of California in a little town called Morro Bay. My kind of area of interest is holistic medicine, so traditional Chinese medicine. I see a lot of cancer patients as well for holistic cancer care, and food therapy. So utilizing, any tools that we can to make pets as happy and healthy and as comfortable as possible. Because of that niche, I see a lot of elderly pets and geriatrics that are struggling with arthritis pain and other painful conditions, as well as cancer patients that, we're trying to support their quality of life for as long as they have. And with the geriatric group who's supporting them cognitively, which the Cognicaps have really come into play with, and the CBD for pain control for the cancer patients, as well as the patients with arthritis and things like that, has made a big difference for a lot of my patients.
How'd you get involved with, even get started with CBD? Because we all know that even just a few years ago, I think in California in particular, you guys weren't even allowed to talk about CBD at one point. So tell us that evolution for you.
Yeah. So I believe I met, I think, Sean at the AHVMA conference when I was in vet school. I was one of the leaders of my local kind of vet school club. This is back in 2019 or 2018 when I went. And so seeing the research and knowing that it could help patients, but also understanding that it, was not legal at that time. And then seeing it kind of change and become more accessible to owners, but then also seeing the confusion for owners as far as what products to buy and just the wide range in efficacy. Kind of made me realize how important it was to find a quality product that I trusted.
I think a lot of owners, actually maybe even a lot of veterinarians, don't realize that there was a study done a few years ago where they pulled CBD off the shelf and tested it, and 70% of the products were fraudulent in that they did not meet their label claim.
Wow.
Some had no CBD in them at all. Some had a lot more THC than what they said on the label. We all know dogs are more sensitive to THC. So, and the other thing that's always really bothered me, and the reason we started making our own product, was that what was happening was a lot of the human companies were just sticking a label for pets on their product, and they weren't thinking about how to dose. So,
Right.
it's a lot of times the same dose for a 300-pound person is somebody our size, 100%.
Right.
We don't do that in veterinary medicine, but I'm not sure that many of these companies realize that. So I would then people come in with CBD products, and I couldn't figure out how much they were giving. There wasn't
Right.
information on the label to even figure out the dose. So that was really disconcerting for me. And as a result, we decided to make our product.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you did. It's been a game changer.
I'm going to pull into that a little bit. Tell us what products, you have to name them, but how many products did you try before you got to Fossum's rejuvenated products?
Yeah. So personally, CBD has really helped with my own pain, just from like kind of chronic joint inflammation. So kind of knowing that there was a wide range in efficacy for my own use. And then when I started recommending it for patients, I would say Dr. Fossum's was one of my first ones that I kind of started recommending once we were able to talk about it. and I went straight into practice in California. And so that's, yeah, where the legality has kind of been, yeah, developing in my world. But I would say seeing different products that other pets have come to me on. I mean, hundreds of different kinds all over the place. Some of them, like, just local stores that are creating their own versus human products, like you said, that people are using for pets. And then they're getting THC exposure and becoming really like sleepy or having GI upset. So I would say I started recommending Dr. Fossum's pretty early on. Mhm.
And you've had good success up here, apparently, because you still recommend.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, and it was a good, way to compare too, because a lot of those pets already came in to me on a CBD product, and, when I would say, "Well, have you tried CBD?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I'm giving this," and I would look at it and, there's no milligrams and there's no third-party certificate analysis or anything to reference. I'd say, "Well, let's try this product, just give it a try." And, so many times owners were like, "Wow, that was such a huge difference."
That is so awesome to hear. So you mentioned certificate of analysis. We should probably explain to people what that is. When you
Yeah.
buy CBD, there should be a certificate of analysis, and what that will do is it's third party, so it will tell you if there's heavy metals or pesticides or herbicides. Remember that the cannabis plant is what we call a soil remediator. It literally pulls everything out of the soil. So if cannabis gets planted somewhere, say in an old tobacco field where pesticides are used, it's going to concentrate in the plant and in the flower, and it's going to be in the product. So you really want to be careful that you're getting a quality product and people are checking for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was surprising to me how many people were buying CBD that had never heard of a certificate of analysis.
So as you've been educating people, how's that going? I mean, do people, it sounds like in your practice, a lot of people come in kind of looking for a
Mhm.
product, CBD. How much time do you have to spend educating them? And this is really for other veterinarians to figure out, what's the key?
Yeah. Um, Really just kind of having an open conversation with them, seeing how much they know. I found that a lot of people still think CBD in like creates the same psychoactive effects as THC, which is not the case if you are using the right product. And so reassuring them in that way. And then referencing the studies that are there, like the Cornell University study, and just saying, just try it. I always tell them that Dr. Fossum's has a wonderful support staff. And if they don't see the results that they want, or if they're having issues with the product, you guys are so quick to respond. And all of my clients have been super happy about that. And really, it's rare that I have a patient start it and the owners don't see at least some difference.
You mentioned the type of products. So just a little education for the pet owners out there. There are different classifications. You might read that product as full spectrum, and what that means is got when we extract from this plant, there are lots of cannabinoids, like 140 different cannabinoids, maybe more, but that's what's been identified, and other components. And we think that all those uh, act together synergistically. It's called the entourage effect, what that's worth. But it's really important to know that if it says it's full spectrum, that means it has THC in it. Where if it's broad spectrum, it's got all that other stuff, but the THC has been removed. That's what we have. And we did that because we just did not want to run into toxicity issues or dogs, got too high a dose. We just wanted to make sure that it was safety first. And then the other next step is to go down to an isolate where you really purify it just to CBD. And do that, you lose this entourage effect. So plus I think dosing is very different in an isolate versus a broad spectrum product. So I really encourage people, look for a broad spectrum product.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And we carry all of the sizes of the Rejuvenator. So that's typically the product that I recommend. We also have, the cards up front that you guys provide. So even if the owners don't take it home right then, just sending them home with a card and letting them go home and look at your website, which has a ton of information. That's always helpful for me too. Just giving the client something physical that they can take home and think about.
And you mentioned our products for cognitive dysfunction. So that would
Yeah.
be right up your alley because what we did is we took some of the standard Western therapies and then we added the Eastern that we could find that had any mention of brain health and combine them. So I think we're the only product that has both Western and Eastern.
Yeah.
To it. And people have been really, really happy with that product.
Yeah.
It's made a difference. I mean, some people call crying is saving relationships. It's keeping them from euthanizing their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've seen a huge benefit in a handful of patients, and including my own dog. I have an 11-and-a-half-year-old Australian Shepherd. And when I started her on the Cognicap, she started playing more than she has in years, like picking up her toys. I mean, just like, yeah, acting like a puppy again. Um, and then I've had a few other patients, one that had old dog vestibular syndrome that I started on Cognicaps. And I believe that it greatly reduced the time that it took for him to get back to normal. And then the owners say now, again, he's like playing, running around, just much more mentally aware than he was.
I mean, we're about. We're here to help dogs and pet owners. So
Yeah. Another case success story with Cognicaps came in a week and a half ago with suspected kind of a neuropathy, maybe IVDD, maybe like a laryngeal paralysis progressing to a peripheral neuropathy, but also having some cognitive decline. So kind of howling and pacing and just seeming generally disoriented. And they started Cognicaps and noticed such a difference within the first few days that they came back and bought another bottle for their other dog.
oh,
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah.
So here. Oh my gosh. Well, anybody watching this, Morro Bay veterinarians, Dr. Kylie Byrd, she's amazing. Go to her practice and our products, Dr. Fossums .com is drfossums with an s.com.
You guys, yeah, your support staff is always wonderful. That's one of the things I love about you guys too. Like in addition to the quality products, just your support for the clients that are purchasing and us. It's been, yeah, stellar. As far as the most common questions about CBD that I get from owners, is how is this product different? Because a lot of them, like I said, have tried other products and haven't seen results. And so being able to have anecdotal evidence from all my other patients that I see a benefit and talking to them about, assured quality through the certificate of analysis, as well as, just Terry's legacy as far as your experience as a veterinary surgeon and doctor, and you can tell that you guys have really spent a lot of time and effort developing a wonderful product. So
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Really, we're incredibly grateful. As you know, we're very tiny and every little bit helps. So you're awesome. Really appreciate it.
Guys, thank you so much for having me.